Good morning, children. Today we will start the new chapter, and that is the periodic classification of element. And the first is introduction. When the discovery of a large number of elements, about 118 elements at present, it was considered necessary to classify them in order to make their study easier and systematic. A number of attempts were made from the time to time to achieve the purpose. Earlier attempts were made to classify elements on the basis of metals and non-metals, valencies, electrochemical nature of the elements, etc. Okay. So, an orderly arrangement of elements is called the classification of elements. And in first, time to time there are many scientists uh, who make their contribution in this field, and the first name is Mendeleev. Mendeleev was a Russian scientist who take the law of periodic law in 1869. Okay. Periodic table may be defined as a chart which classifies an element in such a way that elements having similar properties are grouped together in the same vertical column and the dissimilar elements are separated. The periodic table consists of periods and groups, and the first is period. The horizontal rows are called the periods, and the vertical vertical columns are called groups. Uh, there are 7 periods, that is horizontal rows, and the 8 groups, that is vertical columns, uh, in the Mendeleev's periodic table. Hmm. बेसिस ऑफ द मेंडलीव क्लासिफिकेशन. अगर हम मेंडलीव की पीरियोडिक टेबल की बात करें तो उनका अरेंजमेंट 2 बेसिस पर था. एंड द फर्स्ट इज एटॉमिक मासेस एंड द सेकंड इज सिमिलर फिजिकल एंड द केमिकल प्रॉपर्टीज. पहला जो था वो एटॉमिक मास के ऊपर था, और दूसरा उनका फिजिकल और केमिकल प्रॉपर्टीज के ऊपर था. ओके. इसमें उन्होंने ध्यान दिया, और फर्स्ट चीज इसमें उन्होंने दिया ऑक्सीडाइज, हाइड्रोक्साइड एंड ऑक्सीडाइज. And the first is oxidize. वो elements having the similar properties form the oxides having the same general formula. जो सेम एलिमेंट्स हैं जो कि ऑक्सीडाइज की प्रॉपर्टी रखते हैं, उन्होंने उनको सेम ग्रुप में रखा. फॉर एग्जांपल एल एन ए के आर सिमिलर प्रॉपर्टी एंड दे फॉर्म द ऑक्सीडाइज हैविंग द जनरल फार्मूला. ओके, लाइक K2O or Na2O. The elements B, E, Mg and C are the similar in properties, and they form the oxidize having the general formula BeO, MgO, etc. And the second is hydroxide. Elements having the similar properties form the hydroxide having the same general formula. इस तरीके से, जिस तरीके से ऑक्सीडाइज में इन्होंने देखा कि कुछ एलिमेंट्स जो थे वो ऑक्सीजन के साथ रिएक्ट करने के बाद ऑक्साइड बनाते थे और उनके फॉर्मूले सेम थे, तो इस तरह के एलिमेंट्स ने उन्होंने एक ग्रुप में रखा. इसी तरीके से हाइड्रोक्साइड में वो एलिमेंट्स जो कि हाइड्रोक्साइड देते हैं और उनका जो जनरल फार्मूला है वो सेम है, जैसे BeH2, CaH2 एंड SrS2. इस तरह के एलिमेंट्स को उन्होंने एक ग्रुप में रखा. सो Mendeleev's periodic law, the physical and the chemical properties of elements are a periodic function of their atomic weight. Okay, this is known as Mendeleev periodic law. If the elements are arranged in the order of their atomic weight, similar elements are repeated at the regular periods or intervals. Mendeleev arranged all the elements known at the time to the form of a table on the basis of this periodic law. He arranged the similar elements in the horizontal rows, but subsequently he modified the original table arranging similar elements in the vertical column. When he presented the table, only 65 elements were known. He left several gaps in the table, and the properties of these unknown elements are predicted on the basis of periodic law. The original table considered the 8 vertical columns called the group, and the elements of the group shows a similar type of properties with a regular gradation. Description of the Mendeleev's periodic table. In the Mendeleev periodic table, there are 7 periods and the 8 groups in the original Mendeleev's periodic table. The group 8 contained the transition elements. Noble gases were not known at that time of Mendeleev, except group 8. All the other groups were divided into the subgroup A and subgroup B. And the achievement of Mendeleev periodic table. And the first is chemistry of element. Uh, Mendeleev's periodic table made the study of elements and their compounds in easy way. And the second is discovery of new elements. Um, on the basis of this periodic table, Mendeleev give the some gaps. Uh, he left the several gaps in the table, and properties of these unknown elements were predicated on the basis of periodic law. Mendeleev named the elements by the prefixing a Sanskrit numeral Ika. Ika means 1 on the name of the preceding element in the same gap. Okay. Accommodation of noble gases. When all the inert gas means noble gas, was discovered, they were placed at a separate group, that is 0 group, without disturbing the original Mendeleev periodic table. Thus, the Mendeleev periodic table could accommodate the noble gas when they were discovered. And after that, there is some limitation or defects of the Mendeleev our Mendeleev table. And the first is position of hydrogen. Um Hydrogen behaves like alkali metals and the halogen both. So, so um, there are some similarities between the alkali metals. Both the hydrogen and alkali metals are monovalent, uh, and the similarities with the halogen groups. Similarities with the halogen group. Both hydrogen and the halogens are non-metals. Both hydrogen and halogens are disatomic molecules. Hydrogen as well as halogens are the monovalent also. Like the halogen, hydrogen combines with the metals to form the ionic compound. Okay. And the position of and finally we may concluded that the position of hydrogen is not certain. Position of isotopes. Many elements have more than one isotopes which have different atomic weight but the same chemical properties. For example, hydrogen have the 3 isotopes H1, H2, H3, and the chlorine have the 2 isotopes chlorine 35, chlorine 37, and the carbon also have the 2 isotopes, and that is the carbon 12 and carbon 14 element of the elements. If the elements are arranged in order to their increasing atomic weight, and it is not possible to accommodate the larger number of isotopes. wrong order to wrong order to uh, wrong order of atomic masses. In Mendeleev's table, there are four pairs of elements. Were elements of the higher atomic weight, atomic mass, or preceded those of the lower atomic weight? And the first is argon, second is cobalt, third is tellurium, and the fourth is thorium. Okay. In this, cobalt having atomic mass 58.9 comes before the nickel having the atomic mass 58.7. Similarly, tellurium atomic mass have 127.6 come before the iodine atomic mass 126.9. And Mendeleev periodic law could not explain this wrong order of atomic mass.